Morning guys, hope you're well. Welcome back to the Small Barn Workshop. We're going to need a coffee for this video. So the basic workbench is built, and today I'm going to turn the top into a MFT style tops with the 20mm owls set at 96mm centres. And to do this I'm going to use my UK Parf guide jig. Once I've got my owls drilled, I can then mount my Benchdog equipment. When I was in the small loft workshop or worked outside on my small outdoor workbench, the Benchdog Rail Square mounted in the MFT was my primary cutting station. I enjoyed it so much I'm going to replicate that here. Let's get on. First of all, there's a lot of marking out to do, which is why I need the coffee, and then we've got a load of holes to drill. Right, let's crack on. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is decide where we need our holes. Now I have got to be mindful that my bench has a leg here and one at either side. So basically I've got an area in the middle of here and an area in the middle of this side. So I'm just going to mark a few lines on the bench, and then I know where I can't work. The good thing about this Melabine is I can wipe these lines out later. Okay, so that's where that leg is, and on that side I can't work outside that zone, and at the back and at the front I can't work in that zone. Okay, so this is my Zupa, zone of possible agreement. So this here is the zone which I can set out to, and ideally I want to set out in here and then mirror that on this side of the leg. So getting my UK Parf guide rulers, it's just a case of working out where I can put my holes. That looks possible, there and there. Of course I'd probably need to add, you could just plonk these holes anywhere you wanted. I'm just a little bit OCD about where my holes go. I want everything to be symmetrical. I like to spend a little bit of time just planning out before I start drilling any holes. Okay, so it's possible I could have an hole there and there, which is 25mm in from each end, so that's possible. Put a little mark there. Now I'm not going to be able to get anything in that zone, so I would have to skip over to there, which doesn't make it very symmetrical, because you'd have an hole there and an hole there. So what I might do is centre on that table leg there, which would give me an hole there and an hole there. So that last hole would be 55mm in, which means if I put it this side and have an hole there and have an hole there, and that would then mean that my hole is 85mm. Couldn't get another hole in because I did the leg. I think I'm going to do that and centre it on that leg, because it doesn't really matter if there's one that's 85mm from the end, because it's probably not that useful anyway, that hole. That's in that plane across the bench. The next question is, where do I do it here? Now it looks as though if I put one there and one there, so I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes. They'd pretty much be 30mm, yeah, 30mm in, maybe 28mm in. So I think I'm going to do that then. Excellent. So I'm going to measure 27.5mm, which is there. I'm going to set my combination square up there, and I'm going to make a mark down there, and down there. I'm going to find the centre line of this leg here, there. Put my centre line on. Centre that on that corner, that on that point, and then just line this up with the holes. Clamping these down to make the first few cuts. And that's clamped down there. I can now make the first drills. To drill my hole, I need two things from this Parf guide jig. I need the drill bit, and I'm going to need these soon, and I need this component, which is the drill guide. So basically we get us drill, put us drill bit in, put the guide on the drill. The newer version of this drill guide, I've had this 3 years, has a different, probably a more improved version of this. The idea of this is to help you keep your drill completely plumb, square to the workpiece. So put that on there, put it in the hole, hold that, drill the hole and continue. in a minute. So now I've got them, I can drop the pins into the hole to keep the clamps in place. I don't need the clamps anymore. Then the one I missed, which was that one, just... Okay, so we've now got drill bits all up the length. And there we go, that's the first set of holes. Now I need to put the square ones up. To drill up the vertical now, I just need to put my ruler in there. And then using 3, 4, 5 rule, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, I can put my pin in there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. The holes where these two rulers come together, which is that one, is where I need to drill my next hole. So I'll just put that pin in as deep as it'll go. Just put my square in there, and I can see that that's perfectly square, so I can actually drill an hole there. And this is probably the faffiest bit of the entire process, just getting that first hole in. And make sure you drill through both holes for that square hole. And there we go. And I can put my pin in there and then drill these holes here. And that really is as complicated as this jig gets. Just now need to repeat it up this side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just to make sure, just put a square on and drill the hole. That is as difficult as it gets. And now I don't really need the other ruler. And now I can just start to join these holes up. So it's now just a matter of continuing with this ruler and the pins and drilling the holes all over the bench top, which will probably take me about 10 minutes. This is why you need a cup of coffee. I'm not going to make you watch all that, don't worry. So we no longer need the rulers now, but we do need the pins. We need the drill bit, the 20mm drill bit, and we need, more importantly, the two dogs and the jig. Now the jig is designed to align these three pinholes with the holes and then puts one of these two holes directly above the hole. So in this case, when it's in that pin position, the holes are directly under that one, and then that goes in and the little point of that drill sits in the hole, so you can drill a 20mm hole. Once you've drilled a few holes and you no longer have any pin placements left, then you swap over to this hole, that hole over the hole, and by that time you will be able to actually, the 20mm holes that you've drilled out, you can actually drop the dogs into them holes, and it becomes a little bit like a game, how many holes you can drill with the pins and how many holes you can drill with the dogs. Initially, because I want to mount my bench dogs, I'm just going to run my first holes in sort of these positions, because this is probably where I want to mostly mount them. So I'm going to start to drill some holes down here. So I need to put the drill bit in there. I need to put the drill bit in there. I need to put that down there. So I drill, put my end of the auger in the hole. I can put my pins in there and my pins in there, and I'm ready to drill. Now there is a depth stop which sits on the drill bit, and this is the only bit of the kit that I'm really disappointed in, because to get it to work properly you've got to give it quite a nip around the auger. The first time I used it I really struggled, because you round over either the grub screw or I think the end of the Allen key, and I couldn't get the auger back off, because you need to swap the auger from hole 1 to hole 2. I actually got in a bit of a panic with it and thought I was never going to get this off the drill bit to swap the holes. So I actually don't use it, but that is my only complaint with this system. As I said earlier, I know they've improved it a little bit. They've improved the drills for the 3mm holes. Not quite sure if that's been improved or not. So a perfect example now that I've drilled them 2 holes. To drill that middle hole, I'll need to use the centre point there and then drop in them. Now this is my 4th workbench I've made with this kit. I made the fold down bench in the small loft workshop. I made the mobile polk style bench. Then I made the outdoor workbench, and now this one. And this drill bit is still cutting well with the little spur tips on. The pins and the ruler will last forever, and as is with the jig. But I know you can buy replacements for these. They're quite expensive. I think they're about 40, maybe even £50. I think the entire kit cost me 110, I think. So it is a lion's share price of the drill bit, so you need to look after it. Certainly dropping that on the floor would destroy it, but over time that'll wear out. But I think if I've got 4 benches, hopefully, if I don't break this, maybe another one in here, maybe 2 actually. Oh, and I made some little accessories as well using this. By the time you've made all them things, I think it's not too bad value. I know you can buy these CNC machined out on the internet. Whether you could buy one that's 7 foot by 2 foot wide, I don't know. Probably somebody will make you one with a special price. But I think if you're building one bench, maybe it's debatable if it's worth buying this kit. But if you're making multiple benches like I have, then I think it's worth its money. So once we've cut our holes, I always think it's a good job just to put the router in and clean the hole up to make it easier just to gain entry with your dogs. And finally my little homemade track support jig, which I'm going to have to just screw to the face of the bench at the moment because I need to router a track and my router table's not set up yet. So a couple of screws. The first cut is the deepest. Any nearer, it will be spot on. So that's it guys, I've now created the MFT top. I can fit my Benchdog Rail Square, the track saw, and I can also work from the incremental fence. So I've got a really good square, dimensionally accurate cutting station. It's like being back in the small loft workshop. Thanks guys for watching. If you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see some more of this build, consider subscribing, and until next week, bye.